I came up with 5 ways to make sure your ideal audience resonates with your messaging and how you describe your business. So here are 5 things that I think you can take advantage of and others can as well. So the first is, and I just talked about it, to understand your messaging is always rooted in transformation. If you're not clearly saying this is what point A and point B is, your
Mhm.
messaging is not going to resonate. That has to be really clear. A lot of people fall into the trap of just talking about the topics. I talk about work life balance. I talk about self development. I talk about habits. It's like, no, what's point A and what's point B? The second thing is your potential audience needs to be able to understand your messaging with no prior context to you and who you are. You see this in business all the time where people come up with like, or coaches are guilty of this a lot too. They come up with their own, my unique inverted pyramid approach, right? Well, nobody knows what the inverted pyramid approach is. So it's not appealing, it's confusing. No one's out there going, I'm looking for the inverted pyramid approach. It's like, they don't know what that is. That's effective. And the branding of your method and your stuff is really effective once you get them in. But a lot of people come out with that and then they push that brand out front saying like, hire me as your coach because I'm going to take you through the inverted pyramid method. And they're like, I'm trying to figure out how to like be a better leader. Like I'm not looking for the inverted pyramid approach. The third thing you can do to make sure your messaging resonates with your ideal audience is, and this is a huge one, use language your ideal audience uses. Read your messaging and ask yourself, is anyone in my ideal audience out there walking around actually using the phrase I use to describe what they want? You see it a lot, like people will use jargon. They're trying to play up like how sophisticated or great their thing is. So if it's someone who's like, instead of saying, oh, we're going to help your business make more money, they'll say, we'll help you increase annual revenue profits times the blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're going to help them make more money. So really important. And a very simple check you can do is read your messaging and go, does anybody use this phrase? So when we talked about like in the beginning, the idea of flipping self-development on its head, you know what it means. Is anyone out there going, I want to flip self-development on its head? You want to speak their language. Whereas when you talk about what we talked about before, there's lots of people that go, I have a problem. I've tried all the things and it's not working. What else could it be? I need a solution to this thing that I'm struggling with. The next one is ideally in your messaging, your topic and audience are specifically defined. They're not vague. But the more broad one of those two elements are, the audience or the topic, the more specific the other needs to be. For example, if someone was going to say, I help people with self development, those are two really broad terms. It's impossible. You wind up just, if both are broad, it becomes generic messaging. It's unlikely to be effective because you blend in with a million other people, right? But if you change at least one of them, again, ideally both, but if you narrow at least one of them, instead of I help people with self development, I help CEOs who are moms with self development. Now you stood out. Or you go the other way. I don't love the word people in general, but let's just say business executives or whatever. I help, or I'll leave it at people. Instead of I help people with self development, I help people who traditionally have had no confidence learn how to be more confident. That's not great, but it's narrower than self development, right? It's zoomed in. So when you look at your messaging, always look at that. How broad are the topic and the audience? And if they're both broad, how can I narrow at least one of those elements? The last tip here to make your ideal audience resonate with your messaging is consider how many other brands or people or products, whatever in your space, would your messaging fit. If you look at your description and go, this could describe 100 other people in my space, the less unique you are, the weaker the messaging is. Your description, your messaging, in theory, in a perfect world, only could fit for you.